3-Minute Modernist.
So I want to actually talk about your paintings and drawings for a second, because that's really just an area that I think is under talked about, honestly, because the works are made, particularly your works on paper, the ones on your site, and then the few that I've had to dig around to find, they're just remarkable, especially where you're going more into what seems like all your work seems to have a very stage-like presence to it.
Yes, that's true. I'm glad you see that.
Yeah, it's very moving. And so where does that sort of come from? Do you see your paintings as being an extension of, for lack of a better word, installation?
In a way you could say that, but I've always been interested in the environment as art, or art as environment. And that goes all the way back to when I was a child. I used to make things in the weeds, behind the house there next to the trees, and put together, little environments, and sometimes including turtles and things like that. But these were kind of inventive. I made them out of sticks, and some of them moved, strings and rubber bands and stuff like that. But anyway, it's kind of an interest of environment as artist realm. And finally, and I was a concert musician for a while, so I was on stage playing classical guitar mostly, and then jazz, a lot of jazz music. Mm-hmm. I went to Europe with a jazz band, the Nassau Jazz Band from Princeton. Went to Europe when I was a senior in high school, or just the day after I graduated.
Oh, wow.
So I liked stages, and I liked environment, and I always, in painting, I could show you at some point some paintings from the 60s were very interactive in terms of how the figures relate to each other in an interactive kind of way in a stage-like environment. Mm-hmm. Some were sort of landscape stage-like, a combination of landscape and stage.
Oh, wow.
And the others were, as you say, kind of a spatial setup that you could get into, you could enter. I always feel that a viewer I would like a viewer to enter my paintings, not only visually but psychologically, and that it not be a flat plane. I realized I was kind of good at synthesizing the second dimension and the third and the fourth, including motion, dimensions in painting. So it became a major interest of mine I don't think about it much, it's just instinct at this point, but that's what it's about. I love joining two-dimensional relationships with three in space and with the aspect of motion sometimes inherent in that as well. So you can see that in some of my paintings and drawings. So you're right, it is stage-like, and it relates to part of my musical background. Also, I made stage sets when I was first at the University of Michigan. Went to college there, and I got a job making stage sets. So I was inventing different ways of doing that with cardboard and 1x2s. I made a whole stage set for a Giraudoux play. And then I went to the Art Institute of Chicago because I didn't like being in Ann Arbor so much. I wanted to be in a city. So I went to the Art Institute of Chicago, and that's when I saw a lot of paintings that also were very spatial and stage-like. I loved Rembrandt, and I loved a lot of the paintings from the Dutch, Renaissance especially, and from early French lot earlier, from basically 1800s French painting and English painting. I love Turner,
Oh yeah.
which is in a way stage-like too.
Mm-hmm.
But the stage is sand and air and water and energy, you might say. Energy is happening in a kind of invented stage.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a good question. I'm glad you asked me or suggested that. It's essential to my painting and my drawing. And I like a viewer to, as in my game room piece, I'd like a viewer to enter aesthetically, visually, and psychologically.
Wow. Oh, that's so fantastic to hear that, because I was hoping I wasn't crazy on that.